Hello again. I've got a little Christmas card today and I'm going to use some dies that I already had, and I'm going to use some dies that I got from Kenilworth at the weekend from Miser Print. They're Gummiapan dies, and they are these two sets. So this just one in the set. It's English pronunciation, Spricker, and these ones are same sort of thing, but there are two in the pack. They cut the shape out and then they leave some little marks, so it's like breaking through something, breaking through ice or what have you. They also gave me this little teeny tiny Christmas tree. I mean, it's just so tiddly-pom thing. It's so cute. But if you look at the size of my finger, and I don't have big hands, it's so tiny. I thought, oh, I don't know what I could use that for. And then I had a little cunning plan. So my idea was to use 3 layers of card with each of these, sticking to it, each of these cut out of one of them, and then stacking them up, perhaps with some white foliage in between, and then in the very distance the little teeny tiny Christmas tree, which I thought I would do in gold. So you know what I'm like with losing the tittle from the eye or the little tiny berries. I have you'll be pleased to know, created my little Christmas tree already. So I've done 1 layer of gold, and then I did an extra layer of white on the back so that it's got a little bit of dimension, and I'm going to put that safely out of harm's way. So I've got that. These dies then, so I cut out each of these, and let's just move those out of the way. From my usual card from the paper box. So there's the little one. There's a little middle one, sorry, and you can see I started to put some foliage on the inside of it, and there's the bigger one. So my idea was, bring the tree back, to have a card with that onto the panel, then a little bit of foam tape between, and that one there, and foam tape between, and that one there. And then have foliage on the inside of each of them, or these two. So it was like looking through the undergrowth. That was the plan. And when I started to play with it, I just didn't like it. I thought, no, it's just not working. So I thought, right, well, let's take that one away, and maybe I'll try some vellum. So if I were to do vellum, let me just find a card blank, just put that. So card blank, vellum, little tree in the middle, roughly. Then this. No. What about if I just did those? Well, that's a possible. Got a bit of different texture here because you've got the vellum, so that might work. Or that, and I have to say, I do quite like that as it is, maybe with a little simple gold Christmas message. That might work. Anyway, but I was still determined to do my layers. So on the back of here, I put some removable tape or temporary tape, just from a tape runner. I don't know where I put. Oh, there, here. So it's a temporary, and it's a stick it one. So it's just a little tape runner thing. I thought, right, well, let's see. So my idea originally was that the foliage would be completely on the inside. I thought, well, what if I did foliage on the inside, but it coming out? How would that look? And these spriggy bits are from this Sizzix Thin Knit set. It's a Tim Holtz 665565, and it's called festive bouquet. So it's this bit. So, okay, well that might, let's try another one. Well, that worked, didn't it? Definitely got some sticky there, just obviously didn't quite catch it. I might just have to adjust them to so that I can still see my little tree. Sticking to it more myself than the card is. And then finally that one kind of under there somewhere, maybe a bit more underneath it. Something like that. Maybe this one a bit further up. I'll just have to fiddle about with that. Now, that looks to me a lot better. I think that needs to be a bit further over here, actually. Maybe something like that. Line it all up. Little tiddly palm tree. That's better. This needs some sparkle on it. And that, I think, is going to be as simple as that. Yep. That's decision made. The only thing I'm going to just decide about, things have moved, is just whether I want to go vellum. Now, of course, everyone will have a different opinion. But, you know, it's when you're making a card, it's your opinion that matters, isn't it, to be honest? So, you know, if you wanted to create something like this, just create it in your own sweet way. I think that vellum is nice, but it gets a bit lost because there's so much on top. So I think that the defined edge of that is, in my view, is a better bet. So what I'm going to do now is twinkle these up, and then I can layer up. So let's just take those off there. A little bit of twinkly pen. Oh, the lids on these things are always really tough. So a good layer of twinkle. You could put sort of clear iridescent glitter on if you wanted. And if you feel it's not glittery enough, then just go for another layer. That's quite nice. Right, lid on there. Now I am rather inclined to not use a whole panel and just use this, because it seems a bit of a waste of card otherwise. And then I've just got to decide if I want to leave that flat on there or lift it up. I think what I will do is I'll get these two together with the foliage. I'm just letting this dry a bit, that's why I'm waffling. So if I get those together with the foam tape in between, and then I will just test it on here as to whether I want to have another layer of foam tape or just go flat. So I think that's my cunning plan. So I will put some foam tape on here and I will be back. Right, I'm back again. I'm just going to put my little Do you know what? I think I did something really stupid. Oh, there's a surprise. I did. I cut out the tree from some gold that had some sticky tape on the back, and I've glued, I forgot it was there, so I've glued the sticky tape to the card. So that's just come off. Right, let's re-glue. Let's see if I can do it without making a pig's ear of it this time. I'm pleased to say you all have such a fantastic sense of humour. You laugh along with me when I make my tiny bits mistakes. Sometimes I watch back and think, why on earth did I do it like that? Why didn't I just do such and such? And then at least one of you will message me and say, why didn't you just do? Yeah, absolutely. The thing is, when you're in the thick of filming, well, for me anyway, I think my brain just goes to sleep and I just kind of, never mind. Get there in the end. I still haven't found the tittle from the last film. No idea where it's gone. Right, so let's pop you in the middle of there. You little tiddly pond thing. Absolutely darling, it really is. Right, that's safe. Hooray. I have put tape on the back of there. I'm going to lay this on there, thereabouts. And that, I'm just, because I've still got the backing on there, it's not going to stick. Lid on that. So let's just see how this looks now that these are sparkly and how do I want to do that? I think something like that. I think that's quite cute. So let's see if I can glue them. So I want glue on that bit. Hook that glue off there. I'll come back to the flip side in a minute. I just want to push that out a tiny bit further, not too far. Right, so then we'll glue you. And you can go in there. I've slipped upwards. Let's do that. I can put some bits of glue on there just to anchor it a bit better in a minute, but let's just get them in the right places, hopefully. Do that. Which way am I going? That way. Because it's wet glue, I've got that little bit of wriggle time, which I think I will need. Right, happy with that one. I think I'm happy with that one, and that one just about there, I think. Let's take it over to the other side. Move you out of the way and stick them down really well. What I might do is just put a little bit of tape on there as well. I'll do those two bits, that bit. go. Right, let's just make sure this isn't temporary tape, that's just ordinary Scotch tape. Right, you can go there, you can go there. And you can sit on top like that. Do you know, I think I want that about there. So what I will need to do is just trim a wee bit off that layer. Now, do I want to raise that up as well? That's the question. Well, slightly undecided. So what I will do to test out, just get the lid on my glue. Because I can't decide, I'm just going to put a packet of foam tape there and some there. Sit that on top of there and pop that on top. And I think that, oh, I've got hiccups, excuse me. I think that I do want to do that actually. I like that idea. Just takes the eye further in to that tree. Right, so that's what I'm going to do. Before I do that though, I just need to decide if I am going to trim a bit off this. So I will do foam tape and trim this and then I'll be back. Right, I'm back again. And what I've done is I've got tape around there. I've put tape around the aperture as well to support it. I've glued some of these little branches down, but not all of them. I've left one or two just balancing there. Just gives a bit of freedom of movement and gives a bit more dimension. I've now supported around the aperture as well as the rest of it, and I also trimmed this one down a little bit so you can see how wonky my cutting is. After I put the foam tape on, I thought, oh, actually it would be easier if this panel was slightly smaller. So that's just trimmed down. It won't be particularly seen, but it just gives me a little bit of freedom of movement to get that where I want it. And it's not a lot of wriggle room, but there is a little bit. So first thing I think I will do is get my little tree on the back of there. So I'll hoik the tape backing off there. Bit of glue stick, so I've got wriggle room for that as well. And tiddly palm tree in the middle of there. So cute. Cutest thing. We are. And of course, because I've got foam tape between there and there, I needed foam tape on the edge, so I've done that. So that's that. Then this is going to go on here. So I will just take off all this tape, preferably not in tiny shards. There we are, that's better. I'll do that, and then I will put some Pritt stick on to give me that wriggle room, because obviously the panel's slightly smaller underneath, and I just want to make sure I've got it lined up with the apertures lined up as much as the sides. So that is what we will do next. Fingernails were getting too long. I'll cut them off, and now I haven't got enough nails for everything. I'm getting this stuff off. It's easier if you get it going from the side, I find. That is done. Sometimes you can't tell. Excuse the scruffy clothing. I've been doing some things in the garden. I wasn't going to. I went out to do one job, and then one job led to another, and now I have 2 tubs full of weeds. So it's just, oh dear. So lining up job. So I've got to make sure I'm going to stand up, make sure I've got my aperture where I want it to be, but also I'm not overhanging the sides. So if my voice keeps changing volume, then apologies. I did have a lady saying she couldn't hear me terribly well. I think it was a lady, sorry if it was a man. My apologies, but it's very difficult when you're talking in your own home. You sort of, I'm so used to talking to myself. Not so used to talking to you. So I'm hoping she can hear me better this time around. Obviously, if anything is an issue, then do let me know, and I will always do my best to try and overcome it. Right, those are layered up. There's my card. So that is going to sit on there. That ought to have a sentiment on it, but you know, I sort of feel like I don't want to spoil it somehow. I don't know. Does a sentiment spoil it? Probably it doesn't, but I can't think that I've got one that is really, I could do with like because that's so teeny tiny, could do with a little teeny tiny Merry Christmas. But I don't think I've got one. I don't think I possess one. So I think I'm going to leave it at that. And if you think a sentiment would be better, and if you want to make one of these, then you make it and you put a sentiment on yours, and I'm sure it will look absolutely fabulous. But for now, I think I'm going to call it quits. Clear the rubbish away. And I haven't stuck it onto the panel yet, but hopefully I'm just going to lift it up in the hopes that you can see the twinkle on those little bits of leaf. So it does look awfully pretty. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you for subscribing and thumbs up and all those things, sharing it with friends who might be interested in card making. I have started a video on something rather different, which I'm hoping to get out next time. So watch this space for that, and whether it will involve cards or other things, I'm not quite sure yet. So keep tuned and we'll all discover at the same time. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and do take care, and I will see you again soon. Bye bye.